Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be reading a non-fiction book about dinosaurs, and it's my little book of dinosaurs. Here we go. Okay. What is a dinosaur? Dinosaurs were a group of reptiles that lived hundreds of millions of years ago during the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. Like modern reptiles, dinosaurs laid eggs. Dinosaurs came in all shapes and sizes. Some ate meat, while others ate plants. Some walked on 2 feet, while others walked on all fours. Dinosaurs ruled the earth for over 1 million years. The dinosaurs all died out about 65 million years ago. Coelophysis. Coelophysis was a small meat-eating dinosaur. It was only as big as a dog, but it was still very fierce. Astronauts took a Coelophysis skull into space. It was the first dinosaur in space. Coelophysis hunted in groups called packs. Coelophysis was one of the first dinosaurs. It lived in the desert and hunted other animals, catching them with its hands. Coelophysis had sharp, jagged teeth shaped like knives. Coelophysis' size range was 8 feet long. It lived in the late Triassic and early Jurassic period, and it ate smaller animals. Ceratosaurus. Ceratosaurus was a huge meat-eating dinosaur with jagged horns on its head. Ceratosaurus was big enough to hunt most big plant-eater dinosaurs of the time. Ceratosaurus had horns on its nose and eyebrows and a jagged crest down its back. These made it look even bigger than it really was. Ceratosaurus had enormous blade-like teeth. The size of a Ceratosaurus was 20 feet long. It ate other dinosaurs, and it lived in the late Jurassic period. Archaeopteryx. Today's birds are closely related to meat-eating dinosaurs. Archaeopteryx was the very first bird. Archaeopteryx was about the size of a modern crow with a long tail. Archaeopteryx did not have a beak. Instead, it had jaws and teeth like a lizard. Archaeopteryx had wings and feathers of a bird, but the hands and tail of a dinosaur. Archaeopteryx had fingers and claws that it used for climbing trees. Archaeopteryx's size was 17 inches long. It lived in the late Jurassic period, and it ate smaller animals and insects. Microraptor. Microraptor was a tiny feathered dinosaur. It is the smallest dinosaur that has ever been found. The Microraptor's back legs were covered in feathers. Microraptor had feathers on its arms, legs, and tail. It could not fly, but it was so small and light that it could glide from tree to tree. Microraptors glided through the Cretaceous forest. Microraptor size was 15 to 24 inches long. It lived in the early Cretaceous period, and it ate insects and fish. Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus was a huge meat-eating dinosaur. It ate mostly fish, which it grabbed from the riverbank. Spinosaurus had long, narrow jaws like a crocodile. Spinosaurus was the longest meat-eating dinosaur that we know about. Spinosaurus had a huge curved thumb claw. It used this to hook fish out of the rivers. Spinosaurus had a huge sail of skin on its back. This was brightly colored so that it could show off to impress a mate. Spinosaurus' size was 56 feet long. It lived in the early Cretaceous period, and it ate fish and pterosaurs. Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus was the biggest meat-eating dinosaur that ever lived. Tyrannosaurus had eyes that faced mainly forward. This helped it to spot prey. Tyrannosaurus liked to kill its prey with its huge blade-like teeth. Tyrannosaurus walked on two strong back legs. It prowled through forests of North America hunting, killing, and eating other big dinosaurs. Despite its huge size, Tyrannosaurus had tiny arms. The Tyrannosaurus size was 40 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate other dinosaurs. Velociraptor. Velociraptor was the size of a fox and a deadly killer. It had a long, sharp claw on each back foot. Velociraptor hunted in packs. This meant it could hunt dinosaurs much bigger than itself. In a fight, Velociraptor held onto its prey with its big hands and slashed it to death with its killer claw on its feet. When Velociraptor walked, it lifted its claws up and away from the ground. The Velociraptor size was 6.5 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate other dinosaurs. Oviraptor. Oviraptor was a small dinosaur with feathers and a beak. It looked a bit like a bird. Oviraptor made nests in the sand and sat on its eggs to keep them warm. Oviraptor raided the nests of other dinosaurs. It would grab eggs in its big hands and break into them with its beak. Oviraptor had a beak like a bird's, but tiny teeth on the roof of its mouth. The Oviraptor size was 6 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate eggs and small animals. Plateosaurus. Most of the dinosaurs were plant eaters. The earliest plant eaters, like Plateosaurus, had long necks. Plateosaurus used its long neck to reach food in the treetops. Plateosaurus lived in the Triassic deserts and traveled around in herds looking for plants to eat and water to drink. Plateosaurus could walk on 2 or 4 legs. Plateosaurus' size was 26 feet long. It lived in the late Triassic period and it ate plants. Diplodocus. Diplodocus was a long-necked plant-eating dinosaur. It was one of the longest dinosaurs ever. Diplodocus lived on wide open plains, feeding on leaves and trees. Diplodocus had a long neck. It could use its tail like a whip to scare away predators. Diplodocus could probably stand on its back legs to reach the top of the trees. The size of a Diplodocus was 88 feet long. It ate low-growing plants or leaves from the trees. It lived in the late Jurassic period. Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus was one of the tallest long-necked plant eaters. It held its head in an upright position, a bit like a giraffe. Brachiosaurus had a long neck that made up half of its height. Brachiosaurus had long front legs and high shoulders, so its back sloped upward. This is why it held its head up so high. Brachiosaurus had nostrils right on the top of its head. Brachiosaurus' size is 72 feet long and 33 feet tall. It lived in the late Jurassic period and ate leaves and twigs. Argentinosaurus. Argentinosaurus was the biggest and heaviest dinosaur ever discovered. Gigantosaurus was one of the only meat eaters big enough to threaten Argentinosaurus. Argentinosaurus spent most of its life eating. It had to take in a lot of food to keep its huge body healthy. Argentinosaurus was as big as a blue whale. The size of it was 100 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate plants. Ouranosaurus. Ouranosaurus was a big two-footed plant eater with a large sail on its back. Ouranosaurus used its brightly colored sail to help attract a mate. The sail was made up of long bony spines sticking out of its backbone and covered in skin. It probably helped Ouranosaurus to warm up in the sun. Ouranosaurus had a broad beak like a duck's. The size of an Ouranosaurus was 23 feet long. It lived in the early Cretaceous period and it ate leaves and twigs. Parasaurolophus. Parasaurolophus was a plant-eating dinosaur with a hollow crest that sloped back from its head. Corythosaurus, a relative of Parasaurolophus, had a crest shaped like a helmet. Parasaurolophus used its crest as a trumpet to make a loud noise. Olorotin had a crest shaped like an axe blade. Several dinosaur species had crests on their heads. They were all different shapes and colors so that dinosaurs could tell each other apart. The Parasaurolophus was 33 feet long, it ate plants, and it lived in the late Cretaceous period. Stegosaurus. Many plant-eating dinosaurs were covered in armor, or had plates or horns to protect themselves. Stegosaurus had 4 long spikes on its tail. It could use these to fight off meat-eating dinosaurs. Stegosaurus had a double row of plates down its back. These guarded it from attacks. They were also used for showing off to impress other dinosaurs. Kentrosaurus was a smaller relative of the Stegosaurus. The Stegosaurus was 30 feet long. It lived in the late Jurassic period and it ate plants. Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus was a huge plant-eating dinosaur covered in bony armor. Ankylosaurus was the biggest of all the armored dinosaurs. Ankylosaurus had a huge bony club on the end of its tail. Ankylosaurus even had armored eyelids. It had armor plates on its head, neck, and tail. These were made of bone covered in horn and protected Ankylosaurus from predators. The Ankylosaurus size was 36 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate plants. Triceratops. Triceratops was a 4-footed plant eater with a neck shield and horns on its face. Triceratops was a bit like a modern rhinoceros. It had a big body, thick legs, and horns on its face. Like a rhinoceros, it ate low-growing plants and leaves from bushes. Styracosaurus was a horned dinosaur with long spikes around its neck shield. Triceratops had a big beak used for snipping off bits of food. The Triceratops' size was 30 feet long. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and it ate plants. Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus was a small plant-eating dinosaur with an armored dome on its head. Stegosaurus looked brainy because of its big head, but its dome was made of solid bone. Stegosaurus lived in herds. Many males sometimes fought each other to see who would lead the herd. They would headbutt each other on the legs to see who was stronger. Stegosaurus used its head to fight off rivals or enemies. Stegosaurus' size was 10 feet long. It ate plants, and it lived in the late Cretaceous period. The Quetzalcoatlus. As time went by, Pterosaurus became bigger and bigger. Quetzalcoatlus was as big as an airplane. Quetzalcoatlus was probably the biggest animal that ever flew. When it was on the ground, it walked on all fours and was as tall as a giraffe. Quetzalcoatlus was had short tail and broad wings. It used the wind and was able to fly days without at a time without ever flapping its wings. Its size was 36 feet wingspan, and it lived in the late Cretaceous period and ate small animals. Ichthyosaurus. Ichthyosaurus was a small fish-like reptile with a long pointed snout. Ichthyosaurus ate fish and ammonites, animals that lived in spiral shells. Ichthyosaurus looked and lived just like a fish. It had a streamlined shape and pointed fins on its back and tail. The name Ichthyosaurus means fish lizard. Ichthyosaurus had huge eyes for hunting in deep dark waters. Its size was 6.5 feet long. It lived in the early Jurassic period and ate fish and ammonites. How fossils form. We all know about dinosaurs thanks to fossils, pieces of dinosaur bone preserved in rocks. It takes millions of years for fossils to form. Fossils are formed when a dinosaur's remains were covered quickly by mud and sand. As the mud and sand was packed down over time, it turned into rock. Inside the rock, the dinosaur's bones turned to stone. These are also fossils of dinosaur footprints, eggs, and even droppings. Movements inside the earth push rocks to the surface. When the weather wears the rock away, fossils are exposed. Dinosaurs today. It takes a lot of work to get a fossil out of the ground and into a museum. Scientists that study dinosaurs are called paleontologists. This is a dinosaur skeleton mounted in a museum. Most museums make models of fossils they use in their displays. The original fossils are kept safely behind the scenes for scientists to study. Scientists study fossils closely to learn how dinosaurs lived. Alright, that's the end of this book. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to learn a lot. Thanks. Bye.